Chanelo Boom. Hello, welcome back to Trek Continuum. I'm Sheyne, and I have just gotten up super early to watch episode 3 of Star Trek Picard. The end is the beginning. I meant to get up at 3 a.m. to watch it because, God forbid that CBS creates an app that can, stagger the premiere times so that we get it at midnight on the East Coast, but no, we got to wait for the West Coast, so whatever. We're lucky the app even works. Just spend half its time spindling around. So I got up 4:30 to watch it. The end is the beginning. Let's do a rant review. First thoughts, baby. How y'all doing? All right. So first thing I noticed is the even shorter runtime than last week, but I am pleasantly pleased to say that it's a better episode than last week. That's for sure. Things actually happen. So the first thing, we have to start off with Mars again. We have to see the whole thing because, the short attention span theater can't just retain the information of what happened last week. So we have to go back 14 years, which, by the way, not that I'm advocating using more shitty de-aging technology, but, put a little makeup on Michelle Hurd. I mean, Patrick Stewart pretty much looks like he did 14 years ago. A little bit more haggard, but, at this point, he's in his late 70s. Almost early 80s. And so, as far as the character goes, but Michelle Hurd, she hasn't aged a day because she looked way older than she should have 14 years ago. JL. It doesn't work. Jean-Luc, okay, he lightened up. JL, it's just bad. All the good things in this episode are completely ruined by the, again, bad, shitty dialogue. So, all right, So I do appreciate the fact that they called them Vasquez Rocks, the actual location, which is on this exact same formation, grows on every planet in the galaxy. That's not a problem of this show. It's just Star Trek. But she actually lives at Vasquez Rocks in the trailer, with the same trailer logo on the door as modern day trailers is like Nokia in Star Trek JJ. Welcome to JJ Trek. Snakeleaf. She's a vapor. I guess it's like Snakeleaf is like the modern day weed. And of course later on Rios is smoking a cigar. We had evolved past the need to poison ourselves by smoking and inhaling carcinogens and toxins. Stop. Okay, maybe at Trek Yards I brought this up in their speculation. Maybe the cigar is like synth cigar, like synthahol. Okay, fine. But even still, it's a lot different drinking than it is smoking, and it's just not Star Trek, and it feels out of place. We had that one episode, I believe it was Enterprise, and maybe once on DS9 we saw someone smoking, or Voyager. No, it was Voyager. It was Voyager. I think it was the O.J. Simpson episode where the dog identified the killer with Paris was accused of killing this lady. Whatever. Bad episode. Just dumb. And having smoking in Star Trek is just dumb unless they're time traveling to the past. It's just stupid. Michelle Hurd is an example of what I was talking about in my first review of the premiere. I said that excellent actors can elevate bad dialogue, whereas bad actors make bad dialogue even worse. I know, eloquent, right? Michelle Hurd is a prime example of the latter. She's terrible and insufferable, obnoxious, and not only is the character written terribly, let's take a look at how Raffi treats Picard and her anger towards him because he ruined her career, as opposed to how my man, Captain Benjamin Lafayette Sisko, treated Picard because he blamed him for the death of his wife Jennifer when he was Locutus of Borg. Sisko had real good reason to act a certain way, and yes, they didn't know each other, they didn't have a friendship, but Sisko still maintained some kind of level of evolution of humanity, some kind of, he called him out, but he did it with dignity, he did it with pride, and still a certain base level of respect. Yes, you can say it's a chain of command, and neither Picard nor Raffi are in Starfleet anymore. But she was his XO. Which, by the way, the whole backstory is severely lacking in this episode. And yes, we'll find out more as the series goes along, but a lot of it we're not going to find out because these guys can't write. And they expected us to read 3 comic books, one of which the last part was delayed. We really learned the intricacies of Picard and Raffi's relationship. So we're supposed to go out there and read a comic book? No. Stop. tell us what we need to know. And I'm fine waiting for the full season to find that out. But don't tell me there's supposed to be this great chemistry there that isn't there. They have a cute relationship if it was a better actor than Michelle Hurd. Patrick Stewart can sell it. She did not sell it. I like where they think they're going with the interactions. And so I can even deal with the fact that he was an older Picard. She was a specialist. They didn't come quite as equals, but they still came together for a common cause, and they were on a first-name basis. The JL thing is just stupid. An attempt to have witty, sassy dialogue and create this, like, badass character, and it just doesn't work. So digressing back to the Cisco thing, Cisco had real good reason to be mad at Picard. Picard left Starfleet to make a statement because they were losing who they were, which is still bullshit. But they were losing who they were, and so she got fired or whatever it was after the fact. Take a stand with him. Keep doing the work. The fact that they both just gave up and went home, you can keep doing the work. Starfleet didn't have a ban on trying to save the Romulans. They just didn't have the same resources. And Picard is now like Bruce Wayne in The Dark Knight Rises, the third movie in the trilogy that was still better than most third movies, but gave up on the character. They retreated. The man who never gives up retreated because times got tough. And so Michelle Hurd's character also retreated. But she's mad at Picard. If you're such a gung-ho, badass person with great morality and determination, don't give up just because Starfleet lost their way. You want a badass chick, but then at the same time, you want a pat in the head from Daddy Picard because he didn't check up on her. You want to check up on him sometimes, but no. But decide what kind of character you want her to be. The inner conflict is great, but don't have her need a pat in the head and say stupid things and then be like, oh, well, I don't need you. Clearly she does. There's a way to do it that's more masterful, and there's a better actor out there. There's about 5 gazillion better actors out there that could have done this character a lot more justice. And you could have presented her arguments towards Picard and her animosity towards Picard and her unresolved issues towards Picard in a way that was classy, truly three-dimensional, and masterful, like Avery Brooks played it in The Emissary. But I digress. So, of course, she has a dream catcher hanging on the wall, if you saw it, behind Picard's head. And, the consistency of Star Trek still being very racist towards Native Americans, it's consistent. Okay, maybe she has Native American blood in her. Great, wonderful. But I think it's just a way of being like, she's out in the desert. She's connected with the land. And, Native Americans are connected with the land. I am part Cherokee. My father was full-blood Cherokee. My mother was half Cherokee, half Sicilian. I'm proud of both sides. And I can identify both sides, limited to my own personal experiences. And I will tell you that the last truly acceptable form of racism, where no one speaks out against it really, or they're laughed at when they do, is against Native Americans. And that's been consistent for hundreds of years, and Star Trek just continues to propagate that. And as much as I love Star Trek, always had an issue with that. I'll get off my high-ass horse. I know many defend the menace, and it's true, the war against cis white men is a ridiculous one. It is a ridiculous one. We are all equal, even if crimes were done in the past by people. We have to acknowledge it, we have to address it, we have to fix it, we have to work together to be truly equal. There should not be any prejudice towards anyone. I don't not see prejudice towards people, and I don't ignore it, but I also don't advocate for it. There should be no revenge going on, and there should be true enlightenment, especially in a show like Star Trek when it comes to that. So her having the Dreamcatcher is just it pisses me off. But that's my own issue. Ignore me. I'm sorry that I went on my high horse there. Commander O. Speaking of kind of racist, Commander O is played by an Asian woman. I don't know her specific ethnicity. I don't know the actress at all. I ain't never heard of a Vulcan named O or anything like that. They have very specific kind of names. Spock, Tuvok, Sarek, T'Pol, T'Pau, T'Pring, Sybok, Savick, even though she's half Romulan. Of course, Spock's half Vulcan. I'm half human. O? Okay, enlightened to be. So Shoji in the last episode speaks in the native tongue to the Borg, with the nameless, and they had a species. They made it. They implied that they didn't know what the species was, but then she speaks Romulan to it, which I'm assuming is Romulan now. I'm a bad Trekkie. I don't really know the Romulan tongue all that well. So I'm sweating. The heat's on. It's New York. It's whatever. But in that episode, it almost felt like she instinctually knew what that person's race was, but now it almost seems like it was Romulan, and she's knowing all these things, and fine, the programming, activating, and whatnot, but, like, they said they didn't know, but they're picking, it doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. So, whatever. And so, the Romulan former Borg drone, who's crazy, she is putting out her little Romulan tarot cards, and meanwhile you have a whole bunch of Romulans there who know all about the fake front door and Romulan culture, and no one could figure out how to get through to this girl, right? Except of course Shoji, because she's so brilliant. There are times where Data would figure things out, but they were things that shouldn't be fairly common sense. You know, people used to get on the fact that Wesley would just solve everything, figure everything out. But again, they weren't things that were common sense that anyone else on the crew who knew anything about the subject with which they were dealing couldn't also figure out, right? But Hugh and everyone else never thought, oh, maybe the way to approach this woman is to go in through the back door. Giggity. But Shoji figures it out, gets through this woman. She knows all this stuff. And, all right, at least she's not a full Mary Sue in the sense of, like, she knows these things without any kind of reason. She's part Data. Not that that makes any sense with the cloning, but regardless, in elevating her, you are dumbing down everybody else. I do not believe for a second that Hugh is a stupid person. We don't know what's going on since the whole descent with Lore, but he's not a stupid person. But apparently everybody else is, because she's a bit of a know-it-all. But she's so good. Typical crap writing. Almost Burnham-esque. So Hugh says, great to see Hugh, by the way. We just jump right into it, which I kind of appreciate and kind of am upset about, but it is what it is. I'll leave that alone. So Hugh says that this is what's not many Romulans had ever been assimilated. That this is they have what they know about. Didn't know that was the last ship to be assimilated. Shoji knew that, and I guess it never accessed the records, whatever, of that cube. But not many Romulans have been assimilated. Meanwhile, the Romulan colonies, as in the episode The Neutral Zone, Season 1, season finale of Next Generation, Romulans are losing people to the Borg. And yes, it is kind of consistent that the Borg weren't assimilating anyone then, because they weren't really assimilating anyone until after Best of Both Worlds. Then Voyager wanted to retcon that. The Borg have never been a consistent villain as far as their motives and timelines and what they actually do. Look at this bullshit with, like, they sever the connection from the hive, from the collective. But they don't. Major Grin put up a great video showing how they do collect their dead. Come on. They went back and got Hugh, even though that Borg ship was destroyed, because they collected the central processor and whatever else they collect from their dead, and then they go and see if anyone else is left alive. It's not consistent. It's never been consistent, and that's an issue with the Next Generation, First Contact especially, Voyager most especially, Enterprise. Good God, the stupidity of bringing them into that without the. We're not saying we are the Borg. They just picked up their rant after that, just so we never knew what the Borg were. It's so stupid. But this is about Picard, not Enterprise. But okay, so it's fairly consistent in its inconsistency that way, but it makes no sense. We were losing colonies on both sides, and not that many Romulans were assimilated. That's stupid. So then we go to the new hero ship, which kind of looks like the ship from the Gambit episode, mixed with a Jem'Hadar cruiser, mixed with unoriginal, uninspired art design. but they have the STD style transport. Okay, so if it's an old ship, great. It's an old ship with the mixed L cards that look like shit in the dumb holographic technology, but they have the wall mounted. I don't even know what they call it because STD sucks. The wall mounted transporter. I'm half asleep. Transporters with the cargo transporter and whatnot, which is cool. The cargo transporter for a ship like that, what they do is cool. But the wall mounted, stop trying to connect the two. And so Captain Rios, or whatever he is, Rios has an EMH and an ENH, both looking like him, just with different accents. How vain can you be? Are you Noonien Sung? Are you Doc Zimmerman, where you're just that damn vain? Okay, it's great for the actor to be able to show off his accents, which, by the way, when he was playing Rios talking to the ENH, as Rios, his accent kept fading in and out, almost as if he was like trying to play both characters in that moment. It's and like I said, he smokes cigars. I was wrong about the tattoo thing. He had shrapnel. Cool, I'm glad it wasn't a tattoo, but he smokes a cigar. Can we go now? I didn't hate that character. I actually liked the inner conflict. I liked him looking at the stars, making a reminiscent of Picard. Of course, there's a shooting star in space again, and someone could say that it was a ship going to warp, but and we have a ship going to warp to end this episode. Maybe they finally created warp lanes in the solar system. I always thought that would make sense if you had several specifically designated areas that are just corridors, warp corridors that you can warp in a solar system. That you have satellite, not defenses, but deflectors to make it so that all the stuff in the solar system doesn't hit your ship and you can get in and out quicker. But let's just face it, it's JJ Trek, it's Bad Robot, it's Secret Hideout, it's Alex Fuxman. They don't think about that kind of thing. They're just like, we go to warp from the planet. Phew! And there's green clouds in space outside the window. There's like a little nebula kind of dust cloud. What the fuck is that from? Near Earth? Nah, get out of here. But in any case, so ships go to warp in the solar system. And he looks at the stars and he sees a shooting star. And then Picard sees it on Chateau Picard. I like that. It's a callback to Rene, Picard's nephew, to Picard looking up at the stars. So they're making him a more three-dimensional character than I anticipated. I appreciate that. So far, I actually like him, aside from the cigar thing and just the vainness of the EMHs and the ENHs. But, like, so far, so good. He's the best new character of what's going to be the little not Renegades Firefly crew and whatnot. But on the same token, though, if they veer, which I know they will, too far into the wannabe Han Solo, too far into the wannabe Mal Reynolds, it's tried and true, but it's played out enough. So, and the music is just, I think it being on that ship, yes, okay, Picard's back in space, he's back on a ship. The musical cues were unearned, especially at the end with Engage. It should be a payoff, but it just doesn't feel like it. I love hearing those musical cues, but it just felt out of place. It doesn't feel earned. If he was getting back together with the crew, and the real crew, the Next Generation crew, and we could see their faces and everybody looking at each other, we're back. We're going to do this. We're together. We're family. Instead of this forced chemistry they're trying to give me with these new people, give us with these new people, it would play a lot better. You know, maybe they not get the sausage section out of what's probably in the Smithsonian, but you get a ship, another Galaxy class starship, something like that, or you get the Enterprise E out of mothballs, whatever it is. I'm assuming she's not in service. Whatever, they don't want to touch that. It just didn't feel earned. I would never consult a lawyer. I never consulted lawyers. Yes, you did. Not an actual friggin' lawyer, but you always, Jean-Luc, thought about the regulations, Starfleet regulations, the Prime Directive. You always thought about every side and the legalities of what you were doing, as well as the morality of what you were doing. Many and many times you wanted to relocate people out of the demilitarized zone, Native Americans again, because it was regulation. You didn't do what was right then, but now you changed your tune and instruction. Fine, maybe you learned from that mistake. But they've always had an obsession with making Picard some kind of renegade, starting with First Contact, which in First Contact made sense. It also didn't fully make sense that they kept him away, but admirals are dicks, whatever, because he had proven himself post that. But then again, maybe he didn't because of Hugh. Okay, he didn't send the program back, but fine. Either way, they have an obsession with Picard being more Kirk-like. But this isn't Kirk-like, this is just dumb. And you always considered the rules, so you always did consult the law. Maybe not a specific lawyer, so technicality, yeah, you didn't do it, but you did. Again, they don't know the character, and they just want to make him a renegade to make him a cool old man for the new audiences. I'm just going to turn the page and not try to have filler because I already touched on all my topics on that page. What I am going to look forward to is Major Grin doing a video about the warp in the solar system. Major Grin's the best. Shout out. They don't know who I am. Leaving Laris and Zhaban behind. Look, I know their names. They are the most interesting new characters that we've gotten. If only Tashiak could protect you from Tashiak. They protected them there. They had a lot of weapons in that. For an old man in his retirement, they had a lot of weapons standing by. And maybe Picard knew about it, didn't. And they just put them all there. Maybe they had a feeling people were coming. Great. They didn't even bother to try to put the security net back up after the attack. But maybe they did off screen. I don't know. But leaving the two most efficient people behind to take care of the harvest of fucking grapes is just clearly these asshole producers being like, all right, it makes sense that this older Romulans taking care of him, but they'll serve their purpose. But we really don't want that older people, and we can't have too many older actors on the show that's geared towards millennials. And so we have to leave them behind. Makes no goddamn sense. They're more efficient than Raffi, than Rios, than Girardi, all of them. It makes no damn sense. And once Legolas shows up, they'll be more efficient than him. That makes no damn sense. But, you know, the action scene was pretty good. I appreciate that. No stupid music, no stupid ridiculous motions and whatnot. You know, I like the fact that Picard isn't some instant action hero. He's running around 94, whatever he is, going crazy. He held his own. He did right. He did well. But really, it was Zhaban and Lars doing their thing. And I actually like the moment Girardi's like, you know, maybe he was unstunned. Like, that was actually kind of good. It was like kind of almost a laugh out loud moment. Almost. I'm wondering, are they talking about Unum He0 when they're talking about this mythical kind of sub-programming in the Borg Collective? Is it Unum He0 they're going to bring back? Is that why 7 comes back? I don't know. I feel like with everything, they go in the wiki notes and they're like, ooh, Unum He0, we can bring that back. She's not who you think she is. Oh my God. The writing is brilliant. Shakespearean. She's not who you think she is. Which I can't. I just. And then I'll get back to more bad dialogue later when Discount Cersei and Jamie show up, and then you have this crazy Romulan chick who kind of reminds me of Robin Curtis, second Savick, who was also in the episode The Gambit. Takes the weapon, goes to kill herself. None of the guards take action, but Shoji takes action because she's badass. She's going to be the bestest ever. Shout out Doomcock. So in 2 days, Narek is falling in love with her. I know he's not, but he probably is because I'll probably turn him into a good guy because he's just so good looking, and he's so Ethan Peckish. So he whispers in her, "Can you keep a secret? I think I'm falling in love with you." And this dumb girl, I forgot all my problems. Stupid. I really had hoped that Star Trek, our future people, but yes, in this instance, girls, had grew past that dumb shit where they just swoon over bullshit that men will tell them. But no one has. I'm sure guys like me aren't over crazy girls in the future either. Whatever. Then Discount Cersei, hot Romulan girl, sister of Narek, shows up a day later in Beta Quadrant Romulan space, I'm assuming. All right. JJ Trek again, leaping from place to place to place. All the other stuff on Earth, that all made sense. There's transporters. There's all those things. Whatever. I guess they have transwarp already, which, I mean, they should have warped our team by now, which, according to all good things, but whatever. All right. So Flowers in the Borg Cube is what I'm going to call this, because there's clearly some incestuous shit going on with Narek and Rizzo, whatever her real name is. It just doesn't work. I think they're trying to go for this like Cersei Jaime thing, but the dialogue is just the worst kind of. It's like a spoof of Austin Powers spoofing James Bond. It's like a spoof of our man Bashir spoofing our man Flint. Like, this is the most contrived writing I can possibly imagine for a villain. It's just mustache twirling, $1 billion, and it's uninteresting and it's uninspired and it's poorly acted. I mean, the actors do their best with it, but they're not the caliber that can even come close to saving that. At least not yet. It's cringe-worthy. And then again, we have the end with the unwarranted musical cues and the ship going to warp. You're really gonna let her on your top secret mission? Oh my God. Who speaks like that? Who speaks like that? Well, Raffi sucks. Girardi had a cute moment. Alison Pill's doing her best to save this character. Thankfully, no. And I love Joss Whedon's. I love Firefly. I love Serenity. What he did with Avengers, but his kind of dialogue does not fit with Star Trek. You know, what is it? Secrety, wee, whatever it is, top secrety. Whatever she said in the last episode, I want to block that out of my mind. At least there's nothing like that in this episode. Narek is stupid. Shoji is the bestest ever. Hugh had nothing to do. I like that he's in a position of prominence, but like the clunky dialogue of telling you one thing about him in the last 30 years, that he's the executive director or whatever the program, but you can't come in. You don't know who he is. It's like Picard showing to Starfleet, and the Millennial Ensign didn't know who the hell he was. Like, these guys are legends in what they do, especially Picard, and he was just on the news. But Hugh, oh yeah, we don't know who's running this goddamn site. So stupid. And Flowers in the Borg Cube. It's you know, I mean, cool sunglasses, whatever. I mean, it looks out of place. It probably said Ray-Ban. I don't know, but it looks out of place. But I mean, sunglasses still do make sense, you know. But of course, Vulcans also. I know she's probably Romulan, and maybe they de-evolved out of this, but they have that extra inner clear eyelid to protect them from the heat on Vulcans. So, would you really need sunglasses? Oh, I bet you that was in the wiki notes, Alex Kurtzman. Whatever. It's an improvement over the last episode. Just dumb. And I'm sad. We deserve better. Star Trek deserves better. It's enough to keep me interested-ish. But is it really the story doing it, or is it my need for for Picard? Is it my love? It's probably the latter. It's worth checking out if you're a Star Trek fan. It's not a complete waste of your time. There are some good moments. So far, the show is exactly what I expected it to be. Some really good moments. Some really horrible moments. The mediocre, lackluster moments are outweighing everything else. And the dialogue is terrible. Star Trek Picard, Episode 3. The end is the beginning. This is the end. Please like, share, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. Please. Instagram. Please. Please subscribe to the YouTube page. That really helps the algorithm. Like, dislike, berate me. Whatever you want to do in the comments. It's all good. And have a great day, everybody. End transmission.